udaki angasa ngoba it's a deep question. It springs from somewhere azathi udaki ngoba it's a comparison between udaki nengaba. So now I'm trying to draw a demarcation with white people baze ba-adopte i-white supremacy is because they were inspired by the Greek thoughts. So in their mind, to enslave udaki, it was continuing on the culture of creating wealth. You go to the inferior nation, you conquer them, and you turn them into slaves to build your wealth.
I have a question.
Ibuyalek ma-Greek. So amangala, in their minds, it was not hatred towards blacks. It was adopting ideas to create your wealth.
Yeah. So I have a question. Like ugabona into mayiphendula ne unokhuluma into eyi-one but uthokuthi into eyi-one and then you're providing different facts yabo. So that's why I'm trying to summarize lento eyi-one ukuthi all I'm hearing here is that your answer is that thina singabantu abamnyama asiphumeleli because of ama-ideas or ama-Greeks engukuthi asetshenziswe abelungu to oppress us.
I'm not saying abodaki abaphumeleli ngoba that's not what I'm answering.
Yeah, no, you said media and all of that. Those are Greek.
The question gamadala in a comparison within it, and that comparison in a certain things that angazaz, which I'm trying to address. Why abodaki banga succeed? Why abodaki bangena? Ngoba makasho kanjalo, it's a general question vele, which is not alone as asking that question. It's a question multi-apega. Generally, another thing with why ngathi the biggest thinkers, the biggest achievers in the world, and multi-pega abodaki, remnants baskas. And abana. So I'm trying to answer that with no, since it's figured out. To begin with, the question it springs from two things. Number one, black oppressions, where apartheid.
Okay.
So already like higher locally, there was the oppression where white people suppressed Udaki and kept him at bay because now there's so much of influence of a white supremacy. Two, the influence of the survival of the strongest. Back in the years in the past, it was the survival of the strongest. They also had a war with whites. The war. They fought. So the dominance they reigned in Ireland. They didn't just reign because it was a favor. They took it. They fought. They fought wars. And every country that was considered as inferior, it's obvious.
So, but that's the answer, right?
Wait. The answer is not yet complete. That's why I need to inama money.
Okay.
I
summarize.
Yeah, it's a general question because even with my white cultures, abelungu even globally, Australia, America, Britain, France, like I'm a Caucasian, always fighting for. Bonk abantu who died at John Foster Nanan, they were not fighting for your wealth. They were fighting for human rights, for a political freedom, the right to create our own wealth, the right to buy land, to do business, to do whatever we want to do without being oppressed and all. That's what we fought for. And as I told you, political freedom. Now the key to economic freedom is political freedom. When we create our own laws, then we are able to create the wealth. To create wealth takes 20 to 40 years. We didn't know that. We think economic freedom, it's ballot paper. No, that's wrong. There is political freedom, there is economic freedom, there is financial freedom. If financial freedom is a personal responsibility, economic freedom, it's vision, it's labor, it's investment, it's land, it's manufacturing.
Can I pause it there? This
economic
is so beautiful.
Freedom. Even though
so your answer
can never bring economic freedom.
Just kancane. So your answer is that uphendula imibuzo ethu. So ngiyakuzwa ngena kulo two. Umbuzo ethu ithi abantu abamnyama bahluphekile. What makes black people poor? And just a moment. Then you answered that one by saying it's rooted politically. You know,
there are many. That's why there are many issues and many things.
But from there, just a moment. But from there, then you say we forget that after we won political freedom,
we're supposed to start learning how to create wealth.
so
Sadly,
Tina, we
udade
thought,
mangena ku-politics, he still needs to learn what is politics. So
Ah.
the people who went into political power were tired madalas. Abo madala bakhathele. Bagcwele idust yokuwa. They don't know how to rule. The first people who understood rulership, Mandela and Mbeki. Mandela had a good background, hence had that law. You saw when he started, he initiated many things, in the influence of the political knowledge. We understand. As went on, the corruption in the government, the things that we know that makes us manje, there's so much disappointment that Tina we felt because Sikabu Mandela abai president. Phela Mandela makabai president. Besinabo ma 16, 15, 14.
I was 10 years. I was 10 years.
Exactly.
You were 14.
Yeah, uMandela uthatha ama 2 reigns, S3 kwakuba uMbeki. UMbeki uthathe almost 2 years, 2
It was 1994.
So during that time, we were new. We were children in thinking. We didn't know a political rulership. There's so many things that we didn't understand that we're still learning. And hence, corruption eningi ikhozwa nayo.
So in a nutshell, again, what makes
politics, the reason politicians amaningi, they are failing so much, they are squandering yonke le mali. Besides the greed, the selfishness, the fear, na yonke le corruption that is going on with politics. Because what's happening with NC is what's actually happening in many countries in politics. Corruption is everywhere. But the reason it predominant so, kune betrayal. Because there is a forgetfulness from the beginning. What was political freedom? What is economic freedom? Because the people are they forget to know, but no, see, we fought for Lilizo. As if it's their inheritance. And they're forgetting political power and the malengena, it's not inheritance. It's irresponsibility to invest in the community, to invest in the destinies of our children for a better future. Because to create wealth, to create economic freedom, it takes 20 to 40 years to create economic freedom. I will create economic freedom in 5 years. We are shy. There is no one also by politician that create economic freedom in 5 years. You are dizzy. You don't understand history. Look at the whole history of your wealth creation. In fact, if we go deeper to the fact of the economic freedom, look at okay, before Nyalap, a man, 1776, in fact 1766, did an inquiry into the causes of the wealth of nations. His name is Adam Smith. He began to search and inquire what makes nations wealthy. And he did that research for 10 years. That is 16th century, by the way. 1776, he did that. And he wrote a book, Ikamala is Wealth of Nation, Inquiry into the Nature of the Causes of the Wealth of Nations.
So you read that book?
I read that book, not
Beautiful.
all of it.
Okay.
But I understand the ideology
behind it.
This is what the book Adam Smith discovered then, is that three things. He discovered, number one, with every country or nation that became great, it had a free market enterprise for all individuals, some blacksmiths, some merchants. Remember, then there was no term entrepreneur. Entrepreneur was coined, I think, 100 years later, around 1912, by Joseph Schumpeter. He termed entrepreneur. Before it was not entrepreneur, it was merchant, blacksmith, business people, investors. That was those terms that were predominant. But then Joseph Schumpeter coined the term because it seemed to summarize a psychological aspect of that journey of being a mankind and the risk. He who assumes the risk, seeing an opportunity to create for a profit. Yeah, about things like all the definitions of what an entrepreneur is. Joseph Schumpeter became great. He was the first one who popularized this term, entrepreneur. But going fast, Adam Smith discovered three things. It was a free market economy. Individuals were given the freedom to create their own enterprise, to run their own freedom. Two, he discovered that the predominant authority, either a monarchy or a state or a government, gave freedom, free enterprise for those individuals and did not interfere in their ability to create their own capital. That is, bathengise babe nemali eningi. It did not tax abantu kakhulu. It gave them the freedom to work and to accumulate what fruits of their labor bawa enjoy. It did not oppress them in a way.
Okay.
The oppression was less. There was that freedom. You understand? 3, he discovered a process which inspired Henry Ford later on reading that book, which is manufacturing. The processes were labor, there were all these processes of labor and things like Invisible Hand. It's a very deep book. It's broad, very thick. There are many things that book influenced about Benjamin Franklin, about all the forefathers of America, people who declared.
So just kancane nguzwe uthi there's no way you can help a nation prosper in a short space of time.
Yeah,
it has to take 20 years
to create wealth. Economic freedom takes 20 to 40 years.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Yes.
So I heard
economic freedom.
Takes
20 to 40 years.
Yeah, nguzwe omunye umlungu ngina 10 years masiceda ukuwina. I don't know Moingwele, the Spirit of God helped me understand English by then because I was 10 years. I remember so well. I'm born 1986. So bengihlele phansi abantwana hlalani phansi yabona asihlale emasofeni. And then they were like, this guy, he claimed, I don't remember his name, it's a white man. He said this freedom, this democracy that the black people are so happy for it. It's not going to, it's not a real democracy. It's yet going to take them plus minus 30 years for them to experience a real democracy. You know,
yeah, but there are many issues around that.
I think now it connects with the fact that it takes 20 to 40 years.
We are still babies with democracy.
Yeah.
We are still infants. In democracy, in fact, there was a popular remark, even global, our human rights that Mandela implemented, they were too advanced, even for the developed world. Do you know that? Even the developed world did not
have such
rights